Welcome to another Baby Theater After Dark. Yes, tonight's tale will put us in an adventure to a gargoyle named Cindy. You see, Cindy watched over the town in a stone form. Gargoyles were always meant to prevent demons from entering buildings by scaring the demons into believing that gargoyles are more fearsome than any in the world. Now, you might see this as being a interesting fact, and it quite is, but it's also very real for her. You see, she really enjoyed demons, unfortunately, and as her popularity grew as such a fearful beast, she could see them less and less. You see, they were somewhat of their only friends at some point. Yet, here they are, destroyed. But she did have one particular plan. She wanted to turn into a eagle-like creature. But to do so, she needed several components. And since she was stone, well, it was very hard to maneuver. You see, stones don't move very fast, if at all. Now, she still had a couple of friends. A crow named Bilbo, and a dog that sometimes looked up at her from the ground. The crow really was a little bit of a help. The dog was useless. You see, the crow, he was the key. So she told him, "Wow, what I need from you is a simple task. If you could bring me a feather of a phoenix, a drop of an oil from a plant of carnivore, and last but not least, a crystal ball from Merlin." The crow said, "Well, don't you mean Merlin?" And she said, "That's what I said, Merlin." And he said, "Now I'm saying it that way. Why are we all saying Merlin? It isn't Merlin. It's Merlin." And finally, they both started laughing. It is Merlin. It is. Therefore, he agreed to try to bring her those things. Now, alas, phoenix are very rare, as you know. But they do exist in some ways. But they're more ethereal than one might think. The feathers are much more difficult to obtain than one would expect. Now, let's delve into what a phoenix could be and what a phoenix would not be. Now, if you went to a honey badger and you grabbed a feather off of it, which it does not have, you grab some fur, let's say, that would not be a phoenix feather. Now, if you went to a bird of great stature, such as an eagle per se, what exactly what the gargoyle wants to be at that. But if you grabbed an eagle's feather, no, that wouldn't be quite enough, would it be? Would it be? No, no, no. No, the eagle would have had to have been killed and then rebirthed from the death. Now, this is not an easy feat, and there are only a few necromancers in the world. This seems like it might require a little more difficulty than one would expect. You see, Cynthia the Gargoyle, she wanted one thing and one thing only: to make more friends. Now, having demons for friends for so long does make you a little bit, let's say, ornery and unpleasant to be around. Therefore, the crow is a bit of a likely best friend, would you say? And now that the demons were afraid of her, she had nothing to give them to come back and be a friend again. So, but like I said, demons are not the best friends. So no, you don't want to be a friend with a demon. That's for damn sure. So the next thing you know, the crow has easily tracked down the second item, which is the oil of a carnivorous plant. Now, that's a simple task. There are plenty of carnivorous plants out there. One such being a Venus flytrap. And as a crow, it's pretty simple to just grasp a Venus flytrap and take it away. So, that was number one, simple. And obviously, as a gargoyle, being that her arms are made of stone, and, might as well, one would assume that she could easily form a mortar and pestle with no problem at all to be able to grind that up into oil. Now, the next thing was the phoenix feather is the most difficult of that. He was also easily able to obtain the third item as well, so he went ahead and obtained that. Now, the way he did it, though, was fairly intriguing and very, very mysterious. You see, Merlin himself was, let's say, difficult to obtain. But once the crow infiltrated the castle of King Arthur, well, he booby-trapped all of his tools. You see, he replaced his crystal ball with a magic 8-ball. It made him laugh quite well. And he also went into the fire and placed random pictures of things. One of such pictures was a pigeon. Oh, classic. Therefore, Merlin was no more. However, King Arthur was quite the lad with the Excalibur from the Lady of the Lake and all, and well, he does a pretty good job. Well, anyway, he easily replaced those things and went on, and the last item, though, the phoenix feather, was most difficult. Well, he'd only known of one necromancer that he really knew newest stuff, and that was Geppetto. Now, the crow met up with Geppetto, and he told him, he said, I have dire favor. I need to find a phoenix feather. Can you please resurrect some kind of bird and create a phoenix feather for me? And Geppetto said, well, you see, I have a task for you as well, and it won't be pleasant. You see, Geppetto needed 3 sacrifices to bring Pinocchio into a real boy. Well, Crow knew a few people, and he was able to at least provide 1 sacrifice. I won't go into details, but it was a massacre. Now, once Geppetto had what he needed, all he had to do was simply grab a bird that had already died by flying into a window and resurrect it, grabbing a feather from it. Now, it was a phoenix. The 3 components. Amazing. The crow carried these items, brutally, attempting so hard to get back to Cynthia. Merlin's ball was very, very difficult to carry, and as such, he wasn't able to. It fell upon the ground, rolling. How terrible of an insight. So sad and so terrible. Now, it did roll and roll until it met an old man in the street. Now, the old man, he'd already bumped his head. So this crystal ball smashing into it, well, that really took its toll. And it seems like that's really all he needed to do to stay alive. But, no. It was too late. The old man perished from the blow. It was very sad. However, this suddenly allowed Merlin's crystal ball to suddenly become light as a feather. You see, Merlin's crystal ball had a special, unique power that if blood magic is used with it, well, it becomes whatever the caster needs, and that item was the lightness of the crystal ball. Therefore, the crow carried it all the way back to Cynthia the Gargoyle. Once Cynthia saw the 3 items, she said, Oh my gosh, that's everything I need to become an eagle. Yes. She grabbed the feather and said, light as air. Light as air. I am light as air, as a phoenix. She said, yes, carnivorous plants, the oil. She crushed up the plant into oil with her arms. And it became the oil of her blood, streaming through her body. The feathers began to form. Finally, the last item, Merlin's crystal ball. She took the crow and betrayed him, smashing him, and utilizing the crystal ball to say, give me the flesh of an eagle. Now, one might say that Cynthia was evil for doing this, but you have to remember, her friends were demons, so she didn't have a lot to live up to, let's say. But she knew she wanted to be better. So, she ran away and became an eagle. And finally, she made great new friends. And these friends really lifted her up. And after years and years, she looked back at her old life. She didn't even recognize herself. And one day on Twitter, they populated and said, well, you know, she is a crow killer. And it was true. So she released an apology video to say, I'm very, very sorry that I killed the crow, Bilbo. And I'm very sad about it, and I'm very upset. But I never killed the dog. I never killed the dog. He was my best friend back then. And I never killed the dog. And that was supposed to make it okay, but it really wasn't. But she'd done so many good things in the end that they let it slide, and they said, well, we should probably forgive her. But even then, they would never forget. The crow would live on in everybody's minds, much like Harambe.